Hurricane Ida made landfall in Louisiana today.
Just beyond Highway 23 within Plaquemines Parish lies the small town of Ironton, completely crippled by Hurricane Ida.
Ironton may have been the worst devastation that I've seen.
Ironton, an historically black community, continues to feel left behind in recovery efforts as homes remain condemned and tombs displaced.
This is what Ironton looked like in the aftermath of Hurricane Ida, which hit the town in the fall of 2021.
The last storm that passed, Ida, it devastated the community to a point where I had never seen nothing like that in my entire life.
It was devastation. It was total chaos.
The storm completely devastated this small community in southeast Louisiana. Now, the climate crisis is partly to blame because it's fueling extreme rainfall and more intense storm surges during hurricanes, increasing the risk of flooding for communities like Ironton. But residents say the level of destruction their town saw wasn't inevitable.
No one controlled the atmosphere of the hurricane, but it could have been minimized.
This is the story of how Ironton's disaster was made, and how the very existence of this historic black community now hangs in the balance.
This is my family cemetery. My great-great-great-grandmother was a slave. I feel a closeness to the land as a result of that.
Audrey Trufant-Salvant is a lifelong resident of Ironton and the fifth generation of her family that's lived there.
I feel the struggle that my ancestors endured in order to secure property in this community. I would never walk away from it.
Ironton was founded after the Civil War by formerly enslaved people from nearby plantations. And ever since, the town has had to struggle just to get the basics, things nearby white communities never even had to think about.
Whatever infrastructure that came into this community, it was a fight. It wasn't just a given, it was a fight.
Residents fought for equal voting rights and school integration, battling Leander Perez, a notorious segregationist who ruled the parish with an iron fist.
Of course, worst of all, it was promoting the increase of an irresponsible breed of illegitimate bastard Negroes to curse our white children in the future.
Can you tell us what happened in 1961 when they went to talk to the judge about getting water? What'd he say?
In 1961? Oh, he said, I think he said over his dead body.
In the 1980s and 90s, Ironton residents fought Perez's son to bring basic services like running water and a sewage system to the town. Audrey's mother and aunt were part of that fight.
This community have always been resilient, and they always was warriors. They always fought. They fought for everything.
And they're still fighting today, this time for flood protection.
They owe us this, and I'm not saying that we're any different from anybody else, but if you allow, by not building the levees and not protecting us, and allowing us to have to flood as many times as this community has flooded, it's just unacceptable.
After Hurricane Katrina in 2005, Congress funded a federal levee system protecting the greater New Orleans area from extreme flooding.
The Hurricane and Storm Damage Risk Reduction System can now defend against the effects of a 100-year storm.
This is the extent of that federal levee system. It stops just 11 miles north of Ironton, leaving the community reliant on a series of gulfside or back levees to protect from storm surges. These back levees were built decades ago with non-federal funds, and they can't provide the same level of flood protection as the federal ones to the north. In fact, they can't even provide half the level of flood protection. Here's how much Ironton flooded during Hurricane Ida. And here's how an area with federal levees fared. The levee sections surrounding Ironton may be particularly vulnerable. According to the New Republic, Leander Perez neglected to authorize levee protection for black areas of the parish. Now, Congress also did fund upgrades to these back levees in the aftermath of Katrina, and many sections of the system have been improved since, but not Ironton's.
I'm not saying that it's about race, but we always last in the community. We're glad to get water, glad to get sewage, and it seemed like we're glad to get a levee.
Haywood Johnson Jr., pastor of Ironton's historic St. Paul Missionary Baptist Church, has seen the impact of this lack of protection firsthand.
This is the fellowship hall. This is where we gathered as a church. The water was pretty high. I would say the water was up to the window. And so everything in here was destroyed.
He's rebuilt the church not once, but twice before. After Katrina in 2005 and Isaac in 2012. Now, after Ida, he's picking up the pieces yet again.
I think I'm probably on the pastor that had the experience of rebuilding the three times in 16 years, and yet I'm still upbeat. We ain't going nowhere. We're gonna come back and rebuild. This is our heritage. This is our identity. Ironton is our identity. You know, when you lose your identity, you cease to exist.
Rebuilding Ironton won't be an easy feat. Even though its levee project is now fully funded, it will take years to construct. And until it's completed, the town remains vulnerable. In the meantime, residents can technically rebuild their homes, but there's a catch. Flood insurance is federally required in Ironton. And after Ida, residents must elevate their homes by at least 12 feet in order to qualify, which is unaffordable for most community members.
You can't come back and place your house on the ground like pre-Ida. It has to be elevated. So in order to meet the elevation, can everybody afford? The funding has to be in place.
And while community leaders are working on securing funds to make that possible, the process takes time. Meanwhile, the historic community faces a different existential threat: industry buyouts.
Did you or anyone from your administration met with this residents from Ironton about a buyout? Did you approach any residents in Ironton about buying their houses or a buyout?
We were asked to come and speak to them, 2 families.
Community members and advocates say some residents have been approached with offers to buy their land to build a rail line through Ironton.
We may not be able to stop them from building, but we can't stop them from purchasing our land and moving our community. I think it would just be a total slap in the face for a community, a historic community that's been in place for over 200 years, and for us to just walk away from that. I can't even imagine that.
Despite the challenges facing the community, Ironton's past sparks hope for its future.
The thing that gives me hope about the future of the place is all the battles that we have fought. Every last one of them. We always came out on the winning end. Every last one of them.